Welcome to this edition of the Mayor's Report for Livermore. I'm your host, Sblend Sblendorio. Joining me today is Mayor John Marchand from that wine culture city of Livermore.
Good to be here, Sblend.
Thanks, John.
Always the fun stuff.
Hey, you know, we always start the show with something you want to tell our viewers about. What do you got?
Well, you know, I don't want to brag, but I'll brag, okay? So I was at an event recently. It was a fundraiser for Goodness Village. Goodness Village, as you know, is the collection of tiny homes over there on Friesman Road by Crosswinds Church. And they provide permanent housing for some of our unhoused residents, our unhoused neighbors. There's 28 of them. And so we were at this fundraiser on Saturday. And the idea was to have, all the mayors were there. And the idea was to have each of the mayors bring a dessert. And they had desserts anyway, but have the mayors bring a special dessert. And Richard Lysock from the board of Goodness Village, he brought a 3-layer lemon coconut cake. And the mayor of Pleasanton brought a cake. And I brought my cheesecake, which you've probably heard of. It's the won first place at the Alameda County Fair, and this year was different because, as you may know, I adopted a chicken at Sunflower Hill.
I did not know that.
So I have adopted a chicken at Sunflower Hill at the Hageman Ranch, and so periodically I get eggs from. But her name, my chicken's name is Annie Yoakley. Annie Yoakley is her name. So I made this cake because it was, or the cheesecake, from eggs that I got from Annie Yoakley. And so they all go up for auction, for bid. And Mayor Balch brought he bought a cake at Nolan's. And the cake went for $1,800 because it's a great cause. It really is. And the cheesecake went for $2,250. Now, it's a combination of the cheesecake is that good, but it was also a great cause. So it's great to be able to come together, have kind of a friendly competition, and Livermore won, which made it an even better competition.
So therefore, you're crowing here about it.
Absolutely. Well, it's called Mayor's Choice for a reason, and we get to brag a little bit. But it was a great cause, Goodness Village, and it was great to have. As I said, I'm very proud of that cheesecake. And
congratulations, John.
All the fun stuff.
Congratulations. What I want to spend the whole show, most of the show, talking about is where Livermore sits in our local economy, state economy, national economy.
We're at the top.
Yeah, of course you are at the top. But what the city involvement is within the economy. So the city has an economic development, actually it's a Department of Economic Development and Innovation in Livermore. So
we call it the IED department.
First of all, let's tell our viewers, why does it have this department, the Economic Development and Innovation Department?
Okay, so the reason we have an Economic Development and Innovation Department is because if your economy is thriving, that enables you to afford everything else. You do police and fire and the infrastructure, the roads. Everything else depends on a vibrant economy. So we have to have a varied economy. So we've got a lot of. We can't just have one thing. We do one thing, manufacturing. One thing, we have the laboratories. We have our wineries. So we've got a lot of different stuff going on here, and that's having that diversified economy is very important. The Economic Development Department works with all of these businesses to ensure that they have the resources that they need to thrive. And one of the things that we've learned is that we need to develop that ecosystem that attracts businesses. So Livermore doesn't run a business. Well, we run the business of the city, but we don't run businesses. But we have to create an environment that's going to attract businesses. This is where people want to live here. They want to work here. We're proximate to 2 national laboratories. We have an airport. So the Economic Development Department is actually, they are over the airport. And that's kind of unusual. And not, usually they've got, that's a separate entity. And it's an enterprise fund. But we're trying to create this, this innovation center at the airport. And this is, again, this is the Economic Development Department is doing this, but creating this innovation center where it's going to encourage businesses to come in to start businesses, to grow businesses, because we have the national laboratories here. We really, and we have a remarkable quality of life here. So all of those assets coming together is what attracts businesses. People want to be here. And if they want to live here, they want to be able to work here. So that's some of the key elements of our Economic Development Department.
All right, John. Can we meet some of the development department members or the economic development, who they are, what they do? Can we talk a little bit about that?
It's all magic.
Yeah.
But so our Economic Development Director is Brandon Cardwell. He has been with the city for over 20 years. And he started out working in public works. I mean, he was one of the guys just making the city work. And he's really sharp. And he's born and raised here in Livermore. In fact, his wife was in the haunted house that I was in charge of at Sunset Elementary. It was a fundraiser that we had. And when she was in the 5th grade, she was in my haunted house. So this is literally homegrown. And so he's passionate about Livermore. This is where he was raised. This is where he's raising his family. So this isn't just a job for Brandon. This is something that he's passionate about, to continue to grow this community and to ensure that it succeeds. So Brandon Cardwell is the head of this. He's got a very small staff. He's got Teresa de la Vega works with him. So it's few people. Jake Potter is another one. We have Andy Ross. So all of these folks were working very closely as we were developing our general plan amendments and working up the future general plan, because they understood the importance that we need to be able to place businesses as wide open spaces as we are. Livermore, we're actually down to our last 100 acres of developable land for industry. But you look all around us, well, all of those lands are protected by the urban growth boundary. Thank goodness, because that's part of the attraction for this area, is that open space around it. The vineyards, the agriculture, the pistachio trees, all of those things contribute to this quality of life, which is why people want to be here. So recognizing that we've got less than 100 acres, there are several large companies that want to be here, because we have that innovation ecosystem that brings in the talent, that brings in the assets to really grow these businesses. So as I said, we're down to there's not a lot of land.
All right, so let's talk about how the department interacts with the other departments of the city, right? You mentioned the airport, but if a business comes in, wants to locate in Livermore, I know there's permits. How does economic development work with, whether it's planning or public works or any other department?
Well, this is one of the cool things, because it's this coordinated effort, and that nowhere was that better demonstrated than when we had the Pacific Fusion was looking to come into Livermore. They wanted a big site, and there were a lot of very key elements that they needed to bring in. So this is where the Economic Development Department leaped in, and they worked with zoning, they worked with planning, they worked with public works. How do you bring in water and sewer and power? PG&E is kind of a wild card here, as we well know. So they had to work with all these departments. We had to work with planning. So how do we zone for something like this? Because this is the only thing of its kind in the world. Well, we already have several things in Livermore that are the only ones in the world. We've got the world's most powerful laser. We have El Capitan, the supercomputer. So we've got these wonderful assets. So we're used to dealing with something that's the only one in the world. So economic development was the hub, and then we brought in all of the other pieces. We brought in zoning. We got all those other agencies to ensure that this worked. Well, with Pacific Fusion, it didn't work because there was a bond of public money for almost $800 million. And that's a hard thing because our state doesn't give away public funds. We believe that public funds should be used for public purposes. New Mexico decided to give that away. So it honed our skills to ensure that we can move quickly, we can move efficiently. So now we're working with another company called Inertia, founded by one of the team leaders for the fusion ignition at the laboratory. So we've already done this exercise. So now we're working to bring them in and ensure that they succeed, because there's a lot of moving pieces here. But again, we have assets that very few cities have, and to be able to coordinate all those together, that's the key. That's what Brandon would call the secret sauce.
All right, well, great, John, because that's what you've given two really good examples of how the city works collectively to attract business and retain businesses. You mentioned a lot of them, so what I want to do is take a short break and then talk a little bit more about Livermore's economy. And so we'll be right back on this edition of the Mayor's Report for Livermore. Welcome back to this edition of the Mayor's Report for Livermore. We're here with John Marchand. Welcome back, John.
Good to be back.
Thank you, John. Let's talk a little. I love the subject. We're talking about Livermore's economy. You mentioned a little bit about how you attract and retain businesses. But talk also, incorporate into that how the Economic Development Department works or positions the city and its businesses to be successful within the region.
Well, it comes down, you got to listen to what they need. I can come in and say, well, this is what I think you need, but I don't run a fusion business. I don't run retail, and those are very specialized skill sets. So, for example, one of the things that we did is we had a real estate broker's breakfast, because people want to be able to live here. Housing affordability is something that's you go nationwide. I don't care if you're in Alabama or in Rhode Island or California. We all know that California is expensive. But when I was at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, every single mayor there was talking about the crisis in housing affordability. So we had the real estate brokers breakfast. We had a recent forum called Energy Unleashed, and it was about creating this fusion ecosystem here to ensure that not only do we bring in the businesses around fusion energy, but also the companies that supply that supply chain, which is so critically important, because if you can't get the supplies you need, and you need to grow that around them, because we saw the disruption in global supply chains. Again, talking about advocating for quality of life, our Economic Development Department was a big promoter of the Livermore Valley Wine Heritage District, which collects a small amount of money to continue to promote the wine region and to continue its success. So it's bringing all of those elements together, creating a forum for those conversations, and the Economic Development Department really is the first go-to part of the city where you can talk about, well, how do we bring in all of these moving pieces to create this thing? Because as I've said, that doesn't happen by accident. So that's how we bring in, we make sure that all of the elements are here, because that's what helps fund the city. You know, half of our funding is sales tax, and you know, sales tax and property tax is the majority of our funding. So it's beneficial to the city to continue to grow these businesses so that we can continue to grow that tax base, and that's how Livermore succeeds.
Now, John, talk a little bit about the department's focus areas. I mean, you mentioned, you know, obviously innovation. You've talked about you know, strategies for attracting business. But is there any focus in particular that the department is going to use in the next few years? I know you mentioned innovation. That's always been a big component.
Well, our focus is...
Or the airport?
Yeah, our focus is what is going to succeed.
Okay.
And we're looking at right now, so one of the things that we've heard from our community is, you know, stay off my lawn and your planes are too loud.
Okay.
One of the things that's we're seeing right now is we're looking at EV tolls, electric vertical takeoff or landing planes, or aerial vehicles. So these things, they're based on like a kind of a drone technology. They can do vertical takeoffs, so you don't need a long runway, and they're silent. These things are extraordinarily quiet. So as we have our Aviation Innovation Center, we're creating quiet aviation vehicles that can shuttle people around. It'll alleviate traffic on the freeways, and these vehicles are quiet. So we're really achieving a number of different goals at the same time. So being able to look in your crystal ball and say, okay, what's going to succeed? Okay, well, this is where innovation and this is where industry is going right now. Well, let's create a space, our Innovation Center for Aviation, at the airport, where we can accomplish these things.
Because Livermore has an airport.
Right. So all of these things coming together, and it's being able to find out what direction we need to focus, and that's the key of the Economic Development Department.
Right. Great, John. You mentioned, you know, sales tax is such a big component of a city's finances. Talk a little bit about your retailers. You know, what's there for the local resident? What's there to attract visitors or tourists? You know, what do you have in Livermore?
The main thing that we have is quality of life. And if you look at the revised version of our general plan, that is the #1 element. Everything focuses around the quality of life. And quality of life comes down to, we need to have enough revenue coming into the city to ensure the quality of life. You remember at my State of the City, we had that wonderful graph where there's a little bump where the expenditures went over the revenue. Well, you don't want to usually do that, but that's where we brought in the parking garage, because the parking garage allows people to go into our award-winning downtown to be able to enjoy the amenities of the downtown. So it's being able to bring in the funds to continue to grow that extraordinary quality of life. And that's what attracts people, it's what attracts businesses.
Is there any particular businesses that you want to mention that really, you know, I know you've mentioned in the past Gillig. It's just a good employer, great employees, and it is a wonderful company. People don't even know about it.
So you're asking me who's my favorite child, right?
Oh, no, I'm not asking you that, John.
So one of the wonderful things about Livermore, I mentioned that Brandon was born and raised here. And you look at some of the remarkable businesses that we have. Altamont Brewery.
Right.
My son went to elementary school with Steve Sartori, the founder of Altamont Brewery. The Range Life was recently recognized with the Michelin Bib Gourmand, and they're homegrown. Brian and Amy Wingen, Wingen Bakery, they started a cottage business in South Livermore, and they've acquired 3 storefronts now because their business continues to grow, because they're part of this community, they're connected to this community. Ron and Brooke Witherspoon at First Street Ale House. You know, they had a little establishment next door, and then they became so popular that they continued to grow. They're locally grown. And Paul Halverson from Story Coffee. Paul was born and raised here. Paul's father worked at Fire Station Number 9. So we've got these long-standing family-grown businesses here. You've got Flaca's Salsa. She started out working at the farmer's market, and now she's got a storefront because these are people that understand our community, and more importantly, they love our community. And because of that, our community loves them. I was at an art launch at Wing and Bakery 2 weeks ago. A local artist was displaying his work, and Wing and focused on that. And it's about everybody supporting themselves. Our wineries. Our wineries aren't competing with each other. They're lifting each other up and encouraging everybody to be the best they possibly can. And what an amazing place to be.
Exactly. Well, John, I mean, apparently you have several favorite children.
Yeah.
But you also, I think, could mention that because of all that local grown businesses, you've attracted others. I mean, you know, obviously the big fanfare when a Slice House opened, and you know, there must be a reason why, you know, Tony G decided that he should be in Livermore, and it's probably because of all the wonderful, the quality of life, and all the other businesses that have been grown here, isn't it?
Well, and they're saying, "Wow, Livermore is hopping. This is the place to be. This is everything was coming to Livermore." We are the number one downtown in the East Bay. Everybody just loves coming into Livermore. You talk to all the other cities around us, and where do they go for a special night out? They come to Livermore.
Right. No, they're good, and you did a great job of just promoting that also.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Now, come to a place where there's lots of great events going on in Livermore. Can you mention some for our viewers?
Absolutely. So we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the United States, founding of the United States. This is also the 150th anniversary of the incorporation of Livermore. So when Livermore became a city, 150 years ago, as I've talked about before, the light bulb's 125 years. So we've got the 4th of July ceremony or celebration at the airport. It's going to go from 9 to 1 on the 4th of July, so that way you're not out in the heat of the day at the airport. But it's a great event. The kids just love it because there's activities for them. We're going to have the fire department down there, the police department. There are experimental aircraft that the kids can climb into. They've got a long easy down there. They've got the helicopters the kids can climb into. And we've got the warbirds down there, the B-24, the B-17, my favorite, the P-51 Mustang, which was heavily featured in Maverick, the Tom Cruise movie. So come on down from 9, a Muse Kitchen, food trucks are going to be down there, so Butter and Batter and the food trucks. So come on down, spend the morning at the airport. It's going to be a great time. Parking is going to be up at the college, and there will be free shuttles running down to the airport. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then that frees up people because the fairgrounds, after like 20 years, are bringing back fireworks on the 4th of July. So you can take in the warbirds in the morning, and then in the evening you can head down to the fairgrounds and see the fireworks. We've also got jazz in July. We've got the Civic Center Library. There's going to be first 4 concerts in July are going to be on Sundays at 2 o'clock. Civic Center Library, and then the final one is going to be at Retzlaff Vineyards, and that's going to be July 30th, Thursday at 5 p.m. Those are all free of charge, and it's because of the Friends of Livermore Library. And then Tuesday, mark your calendars, Tuesday, August 4th from 6 to 8 will be National Night Out. This is where we descend on the communities throughout the region, throughout the city, and It's an opportunity to get to know your neighbors. We work with our neighborhood watch programs, the police department, and it's an opportunity for everybody to get to know each other, so you know who your neighbors are, and you can all look out for each other. So National Night Out, August 4th, 6 to 8. So the fun stuff.
You're going to be busy in next month, the next couple months.
I usually try to hit at least a half a dozen of the neighborhood parties.
All right, thank you so much, John, for being here.
Pleasure.
And thank you for watching this edition of the Mayor's Report for Livermore. Join us for the next episode of the Mayor's Report right here on Tri-Valley TV. I'm Sblend Sblendorio. Thank you so much for joining us.